Hi, I'm Joe Markley. I hadn't planned to return to the subject of Bill Dziedzic and his town council candidacy, but I feel compelled to rebut some ludicrous and demonstrably false claims that he made in response to my video last week, and also to address the absurd charge by some members of my party that I'm now a traitor actively working to help the Democrats. That's a ridiculous accusation based on my lifelong commitment to the Republican Party, the principles that it stands for, and to the town of Southington. I was quite clear in my first video that it was my concern for the Republican Party and the high standard I hold it to that led me to speak out. When party leaders go astray, I feel it's my duty not to follow them, but to try to set them straight. And no matter how fond I might be of people in my party, or how much I know I owe them, there are two things they can never expect of me. One is that I would allow my honor to be besmirched without defending myself, and the other is that I would stand by while a woman was harassed and abused. When Bill Dziedzic did both these things, I tried to address the problem within the party by going to the chairman and going to the town committee. I was told it was not the party's concern, that I should take it outside the town committee, and I have. Put yourself in my position. I've worked for the Republican Party in town since I was in high school. I ran our municipal campaign way back in 1981, and for 4 decades I've been involved as a state legislator and as a candidate for lieutenant governor, and as a town chairman, and in many other roles. No one in Southington has fought harder for the principles of the Republican Party: limited constitutional government, personal liberty, and fiscal responsibility. And yet many I have known for years are choosing to consider me an enemy because I dared to speak up when a fellow Republican accused me of one of the sickest and most damaging crimes that you can charge a person with. Now that he's been challenged, Bill Dziedzic said to the Record Journal, quote, "At no point in any conversation or text message did I ever infer or mean that Joe Markley had ever been involved in sexual abuse or anything like that," unquote. Well, it's easy enough to check that out. Sue Zabahansky has put the text that Bill sent her up on Facebook. What did he actually say in his texts? Quote, "I've been provided with lots of dirt about Joe Markley, lots of Me Too stuff," unquote. Keep in mind the meaning of Me Too. The dictionary says it's a social movement drawing attention to sexual harassment, sexual assault, and other abuses of authority, especially those resulting from gendered power imbalances in social institutions. There isn't any question about the text and what he said in it. I don't know why he'd bother telling such a falsehood, one so easily exposed. I think it's less of a lie than a delusion. Now, the current Republican chairman, Mark LaJoy, claimed in a Facebook post that Dziedzic apologized for that statement. That's not true either. It's not even credible. He could hardly apologize for something that he won't admit he did. And in fact, I was never looking for an apology, just a retraction, a simple statement from Dziedzic within the confines of the Republican Party that at a weak moment he'd made a false accusation against me. At the behest of a prominent Republican who I greatly admire, not the chairman who refused to get involved, I met with Bill Dziedzic a few weeks after he sent the text about the dirt he claimed to have on me. We had a long and frustrating conversation. I tried to convince him to retract that allegation and so we could put the whole incident behind us. His response ultimately was, "What's in it for me?" I'm afraid that says all you need to know about Bill Dziedzic. Somehow, Dziedzic and the people who support him believe that his lies and his threats are justified because Sue Zabahansky and I did not favor his nomination for the state legislature. In my 4 decades in politics, I've supported and opposed dozens of candidates for Republican nominations. I've made speeches at conventions. I've made videos like this. I've sent out press releases. I've made phone calls and sent emails to party leaders and to delegates. I've had to fight for nominations myself. But I didn't blame the people who opposed me. That's part of politics. And anyone who wants to take part in this process needs to accept that. The people I know who opposed Bill Dziedzic had 2 main objections. One was disparaging comments he made about Representative John Fusco. John Fusco is a friend of mine, he's a true gentleman, and and he was a fine representative of our town. He didn't deserve to be a victim of Dziedzic's trash talking. And second, Dziedzic chose to make comments critical of Republicans after the January 6th incidents, and he made it clear that he's hostile to those of us who stand out as true conservatives. Because we preferred a different candidate who had broad support in the party and represented our values, Bill Dziedzic felt entitled to slander my name and bully and threaten my friend Sue Zabahansky. The chairman of the Republican Party at the time, Steve Kalkowski, was fully aware of every aspect of what happened. Instead of addressing the lies and the abuse, he chose to treat Sue and I as if we were the problem. Past and present party leadership, which was so indifferent when Bill Dziedzic told a lie about me, is furious now that I'm telling the truth about Bill Dziedzic. The leadership left me to defend myself. They shouldn't be surprised that I'm doing it. Since I sent out the video last week, Bill has continued to make false statements about both me and Sue Zabahansky. In both the patch and the current, Dziedzic claimed that Sue and I have endorsed Democrat candidates. Again, that simply isn't true. Sue has never publicly opposed a Republican or backed a Democrat. I did support a Democrat once. I backed Joe Lieberman against Lowell Weicker in 1988, and I'm willing to stand by that act. This year, though I clearly oppose Bill Dziedzic, I am endorsing no one. The notion that I'm in league with the Democrats is a fantasy. I had no contact with Democratic leadership or anyone on the Democratic slate before I made that video last week. I mentioned Steve Salerno and Eddie Pocock in the video only to point out that stalwart Republicans had left the party due to their interactions with the leadership. I didn't endorse their candidacy. It's ironic. I criticized one Republican candidate. I did so in self-defense and in defense of a friend of mine, and publicly only because I was given no other option. Yet many now feel justified in attacking me and Sue and anyone else who speaks the truth about the failure of leadership we've witnessed. Where were they when Bill Dziedzic attacked us? We're Republicans too. I'm Joe Markley. Thanks for your attention.